What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Franchise Play, coming to you with another episode of Ask FP / Mazik Speaks. And I appreciate everybody jumping in and taking a look at this particular video. If for whatever reason, like I mention all the time, if you would like to donate to the cause, this is, just as a show of appreciation. Obviously, nothing that we do here, it carries a specific cost. But if you feel so moved to go ahead and donate, the link is in the description. But at any rate, let's jump right into the Ask FP questions. There's a lot going on today in sports, just period, and then even in the things that I like to discuss and so on and so forth. So what I'll do is I will bring, I think this is a good way for me to kind of touch upon everything that I like to talk about at a specific time. So we can kind of talk about like articles that I've written, as well as we can talk about the things that are in Ask FP. So I'm going to actually just start doing one thing, man. I'm just going to start just going to my writer profiles for, Mike.com and Forbes, and kind of just like on a what's new kind of a thing. So, but I'll do that a little bit after, or right after Ask FP. Some of the things that I may even bring up will be things that I've already talked about in Ask FP. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, let's set us up here. Hope everybody is doing just splendid today. All right, let's see. Okay, so our first question on Ask FP is from Michael Rigsby Jr. And he says he wants thoughts on the possibility of a story mode in Madden 18. Did you see it being more choose your path or living the dream? I see it being probably more living the dream, but I'm super excited about it, man. And I'm going to tell you why I'm so excited about it. And this is something that quiet is kept, or maybe just people don't give them enough credit. EA has really done that story mode thing better than everybody. If you think about it, the champion mode in Fight Night Champion was phenomenal. The journey in FIFA 17 was outstanding. In my opinion, it's the best thing about FIFA, outside of obviously the official licenses that Pro Evolution Soccer doesn't have. Also, Pro Evolution Soccer's release date was talked about today. So it's, man, I'm telling you, I'm really excited about the story mode. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it looks like you're going to start off at the NFL Combine, because if you see the guy who's looking through the window, he's across the street from Lucas Oil Stadium, and Lucas Oil Stadium is where the scouting combine takes place. So pretty sure you're going to start off in the combine. So I'm hyped. Very excited for that. To me, one of the most intriguing things out there right now about sport, the upcoming sports video game releases. Next question comes from IIK Legend. He says, Zeke, read your article. Well, it's not really a question. Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry. It says, what are your thoughts on E-League compensation from the #1 overall pick to Mr. Irrelevant? You know what, man? Honestly, I have no idea, because I don't know. They have not yet discussed what like the salary ranges will be like for the NBA 2K E-League. I think that is a super interesting question. And the minute I get any ounce of information on that end, I am going to be all over it, analyzing it, comparing it to other esports payouts, comparing it obviously to traditional athletes in sports. So I can't wait to get that information. I have no idea. And I don't know if there's going to be a salary range where the person that's drafted #1 gets more than the guy that's drafted at the bottom. I don't know. It's all just, everything in this about this is so new and fresh. I have no idea what to expect. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. Looking forward to getting that information. Okay, our next question comes from Michael Rigsby Jr. And he says, and it's not a question, but Mazik Speaks Ask FP honestly is my favorite thing to watch on YouTube. Really love the work you do. And I really appreciate everybody who says stuff like that, man. That kind of stuff really is cool, because a lot of times, you'll do a video, you'll write an article, and it'll get, whatever views or whatever it gets. It may not get it may not say it only gets like 5 comments. The first one is somebody saying they're first, which is cool. The second one is somebody getting mad at the person for saying they're first. And the third one is a negative comment. So you're looking like, man, so was this a bad video or what? You know what I'm saying? And you're like, you know, so you don't know, because sometimes you take a person's silence as it doesn't mean anything. Basically, it's like, oh well, all these yeah, it shows that 700 people watched it in the first 5 hours, but you know, not a lot of people commented. So, or the 1 or 2, 2 comments really stood out to me, and they were negative. But that doesn't mean necessarily that. So it's really nice when somebody says something like what Mike said there. It helps kind of push you, keep you going, you know? All right, the next question I have comes from Michael Rigsby Jr. He says, why aren't more people intrigued in seeing a conclusion to the Golden State Warriors Cavs trilogy? Is it due to Durant's signing? Well, Mike, honestly, I think people are intrigued. I think that's really like the only series that anybody cares about right now. If y'all wondering why I got a baby seat right there and then why you might be hearing the baby. No, I don't have a new baby, but I'm keeping my niece. She's 1 year old. She's upstairs right now with my wife and my kids. And she is a handful, but she is the cutest little round faced baby ever. So, but she is definitely, it's been a long time since we had a little baby in the house, because Junior's 11. So my kids are older, man. I got an 11-year-old. I have 2 18-year-olds, because technically one of my kids is not biologically mine, but we don't do steps in our house. Everybody is family, and we don't do all that. Well, this is that now. I raised her since she was 2 years old, so she mine. And then my oldest is 19. It'll be 20 in September. So it's been a long time since I had a little bitty baby. So it's definitely an adjustment, but I love babies and she's awesome. So it's cool. But yeah, anyway, I went off on a tangent because I caught the baby seat in the corner of my eye. And but yeah, I think that's the only series that anybody's even really looking forward to. So I definitely don't think there's a lack of interest. I think there's a tremendous amount of interest. And I think that you're going to see it in the television ratings once that series starts, assuming both teams make it there as we expect they will. Obviously, the Cavs and the Celtics start tonight. The Warriors are already up 2-0 on the Spurs. So even a returning Kawhi Leonard, who may not even be at 100% when he comes back from the ankle injury, may not be enough to stem the tide. So it's looking like that would probably be it, because the Cavs are major favorites over the Celtics. Sorry about that, Lurk King, but it's true. It's so true. All right, the next question comes from Michael Rigsby Jr. We got Mike all day, baby. He says, with the top 2 projected players being point guards and Celtics having Isaiah Thomas, what do you see them doing? Well, honestly, I see them probably taking Markelle Fultz or either trading the pick, because Markelle Fultz is the best. Is a lot of people in a lot of people's mind, he's the best player. I'm going to stick to my guns, despite what's been going on with LaVar Ball. I don't understand. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But despite what's been going on with him, I like Lonzo the best of all of the players in the draft. I like him. I like his game the best. And I also think that he's a better fit for the Celtics. But based off of things that LaVar's been saying about the Celtics specifically, see, they were asking GMs, will LaVar Ball discourage you from drafting Lonzo Ball? And most of the GMs were saying no. But LaVar has literally been trying to make sure that Lonzo doesn't go to Boston, because he wants them to go to LA. So when you're doing that, now it's getting Eli Manning-ish. And now San Diego, and in this situation, Boston, probably won't draft your kid because of how, you're trying to make this look. So I don't think under any circumstances Boston would draft Lonzo, even if they thought he was the best player. I think they just don't. Their team is already good. I mean, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals right now, so they don't have to rock the boat. I also tell people all the time, you got to think about it. Gordon Hayward can opt out this year, and he's probably going to opt out. Doesn't mean he's going to leave Utah, but he can opt out. So when he opts out, Boston would probably be, in my opinion, the only place he'd leave Utah for at this point. Why? Boston already has a great team. 2, they have his college coach in Brad Stevens. He coached him at Butler. So I could see that potentially happening. But I also could see the Celtics trading the number 1 pick to the Bulls for Jimmy Butler, or trying to trade the number 1 pick to the Pacers for Paul George. I could see either of those things happening. I don't know if George will be the guy. It'd be the Jimmy Butler would be a better trade for them, because Jimmy's under contract control for longer, and his contract is extremely manageable by superstar standards, or by star standards. When you look at George can be a free agent after, I believe it's this year coming up. He has an opt-out. So once he becomes a free agent, he's going to get a bigger deal than what Jimmy currently has, because of how things are changing financially across the league. Also, the chances that the Celtics could re-sign Paul George, if they did trade for him, probably isn't very high, because I think most people know that he wants to go to California to be, to play for the Lakers or the Clippers. So I just don't think that's a trade that the Celtics are going to want to make, unless they get something happens between now and then, and George begins to indicate that he would sign a long-term deal in Boston. Outside of that, I think the best deal for them is probably Butler, if that is still available. And I'm thinking it might be, if they, I think if Boston puts together something where it's the number 1 pick, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and maybe Jay Crowder, and you send that to the Bulls for Jimmy and a throw-in guy. And and when I say a throw-in guy, I'm not talking about Bobby Portis, because I think that's a little bit more than a throw-in guy at his age, because he's so young. And I don't know if you want to give up Denzel Valentine just yet. So you could be looking at somebody else, another rotational guy from the Bulls. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I don't think it would be those guys. But they may have to give something back just along with Jimmy. But obviously, the biggest chip would be Jimmy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I don't know, man. I think, like I said, Boston's going to take Fultz, or they're going to move that pick. I can't see them going any other way. All right, our next question comes from Jared Young, and he says, what are your predictions for the top 5 picks? Boston, the Lakers, 76ers, Phoenix, and Sacramento. So I just talked about Boston. So the Lakers, I think, are going to take Lonzo Ball. I just think that it makes the most sense for them to – well, I don't know about that, honestly, because people are talking about Lonzo Ball to the Lakers, but what's going on with D'Angelo Russell? I mean, is D'Angelo Russell going to play the 2? Now, I think he could definitely play the 2 out there on the floor with Lonzo, because Lonzo is a pure point guard, and D'Angelo is a bit of a scorer first, I would say. He's a good passer. I think he's more of a scorer first. So I don't know. Is that your backcourt? Is it Ball and Russell, which is, pretty interesting? Or do the Lakers covet someone more like Jason Tatum, that they can match together with them? So I don't know, but I probably it's going to be Ball. The 76ers, I think, are another really good trade partner for the Bulls. I think they're actually an even better trade partner for the Bulls than the Celtics. I think, you give a deal that has the number 3 pick, Dario Saric, right, maybe Robert Covington, Gerald Henderson, and Jahlil Okafor to the Bulls for Butler. Now, a lot of people are looking like, wow, that's a lot. Well, it's really, Jimmy Butler's a primetime guy. And if you look at the nucleus that the 76ers would have at that point, you're talking about Butler, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. The size, the versatility, all they need is shooting. You get 2 guys on the floor at that point at the other positions at the, I guess that's at small forward or shooting guard, whichever one Jimmy doesn't play, and then the power forward position who can knock down shots. And you got a really interesting nucleus that may be able to be good quicker because you have, but I mean, I think that's a playoff team for sure. Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, of course, obviously this is all contingent on health, especially with Embiid and Simmons. But Simmons, Embiid, and Butler, and 2 guys that can shoot, they don't even have to be. They don't have to be. I'm not talking about Kyle Korver. I'm not even just 2 guys that can knock down open jump shots. at the other two positions, and I think that's a playoff team. You still got guys like Rashawn Holmes coming off the bench. You still got TJ McConnell as a backup point guard. You still got whomever else they draft later in their I think they may have one or two other picks in the rest of the draft. So, they obviously would have to add some depth, but that is a nice big three, especially moving forward. I mean, Jimmy's 28, but I like that. But if they don't move their pick, I think the best pick for Philly is got to be Josh Jackson. I mean, and that's not a bad settlement thing. I mean, at that point, you're literally, some people compare Josh Jackson to Jimmy Butler. I think NBA Draft.net says he's a combination of Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler. But that's a projection. We already know what Jimmy is. So, but either way, that's an intriguing big three too. Simmons, Embiid, and Josh Jackson. That's nice. So I think it's definitely Josh if they do keep the pick. But it could go Jason Tatum because they may want more shooting. Phoenix, I lean towards Jason Tatum, but you got to ask yourself, is Marquise Chris very too similar to him? But I would still probably say it's going to be Tatum, because I'm looking at a core for Phoenix that is Tyler Ulis, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Marquise Chris, and Dragan Bender. Now they're all very young and they still got a lot to prove. But that's that five. If things pan out the way they expected to or they wanted to, you can't really get too mad at that. I mean, Ulis, Booker, Chris, Tatum, and Dragan Bender. You're getting what you want. You're getting your young players that you drafted, and you're putting them all together and saying, let's go, let's see how good we can get. At that point, it gets to be about coaching and player development, and then obviously, of course, good fortune with guys staying healthy. But and then that fifth pick, I believe it's Sacramento. I think that's who it is. Let me make sure before I say that. I think he says Sacramento. Yeah, it is Sacramento. I think that could be I go back and forth with De'Aaron Fox and Dennis Smith, because I really like Dennis Smith, but obviously there's some health concerns. He has two bad knees, or at least one bad knee. De'Aaron Fox can't shoot, but he reminds people very much of John Wall, and Wall couldn't shoot either when he first got to the league. He developed it. The thing I like about De'Aaron Fox is a gamer. He's a baller. So he's the type of dude, just like John Wall. He's the type of dude that, yes, he doesn't have that right now, but he is one of those guys that makes me think he'll get it. He's going to work on his game to get what he doesn't have, which is one of the reasons why I wouldn't even be surprised if he jumped up to like number 2 over the course of this draft process. As he starts to have individual workouts and teams start to see the desire and how hard this kid plays, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. So I would think Sacramento probably goes there. I don't know if he's the type of talent that changes a culture, which is what Sacramento needs. He is a hard worker, but he's going to have to be vocal, and he's going to have to be the guy in Sacramento, because right now they don't have that. They don't have the guy. So they got to, so I don't know. But yeah, he's going to have to, he would have to step up and be pretty significant from the beginning. All right, our next question, and as soon as I get it for you guys, also comes from Jared Young. And Jared Young this time says, do you see any lottery projected players that may be overrated? Yeah, we always see that, and you really never know, right? You really never know. It's all a guessing game. But I'm looking at the kid from Arizona, Lauri Markkanen. I'm not totally sold, and I'm gonna tell you another guy who is getting a lot of love, and it's pretty much been called like a top 5 pick. And I think he has the kind of game he has like boom or bust type of a game. And that's Jonathan Isaac from Florida State. he had a growth spurt, and he doesn't look as though his body couldn't handle the additional length. But he's a shooter. He's primarily a shooter. He's a good athlete. I wouldn't call him an amazing bounce athlete. He's a good athlete, but I can see him being the kind of guy who depends too much on the outside shot. I could see him being like his floor to me is like Jonathan Bender. And if you don't remember or know who that is, yeah, that's kind of the point. He was drafted in the lottery by the Pacers in the 90s. I think it's the 90s. It might be the early 2000s. I can't quite recall. But he never panned out. Big, long guy, good athlete, but he was a good shooter. But he was super dependent on the jump shot, and it just didn't work out. I could see Isaac maybe going in that direction, but I could also see him being Rashard Lewis. And Rashard Lewis was a very productive player for a good amount of time, especially during his time in Seattle. So, either those two guys are the ones that kind of make me a little nervous. There's a couple other guys, but I'm gonna tell you who I like though. Terrence Ferguson. I called Terrence Ferguson to the Bulls months ago. And I said, man, I think if you got to be picking at 16, 17, which I knew the Bulls were probably going to be around that range, I said, that's the dude that I think that has the most upside. Because at that point, when you're picking in 16 and all that, you got to find a guy who has the potential to be a star. And for whatever reason, maybe he's a small school, maybe he's from and went and played internationally after chose to bypass college and went and played professionally on the international scene. That something like that's got to happen, because if you look at the people in the 14, 16 range that have become stars in the recent period, you got Giannis, international player. You got Kawhi Leonard, San Diego State, which is obviously a D1 school or whatever, but it's not a powerhouse program, right? So that's what I think that the Bulls have to be looking for to try to hit a home run like that. And I like Terrence Ferguson's game. He can shoot the ball. He has got great bounce. From what I've watched, some scouting videos put together by Draft Express and a couple other things I watched. Really, really like his movement a lot. And he's still so young, 19, 20 years old, got a lot of room to grow. And if the Bulls are truly going to rebuild, as I believe they should, that's the type of player I think they need to try to focus on and try to target. All right, our next question comes from Brock Lester. And he says, can Boston take game 1 tonight? So this just came in 2 hours ago. And the answer to that question, I believe, is they could, but they won't. Sorry, Larry King. I don't think they will. I'm going to tell you something, guys, man. LeBron is on an absolute mission. And if anytime, I'm not saying it's impossible, but if Cleveland loses a game in the Eastern Conference playoffs, I would be surprised. He is on a mission. He is getting ridiculous rest. Man, I'm trying to tell you, Cleveland, fully healthy, rested, and confident, and motivated, is there right here, and everybody else in the East is like right here. You can't even see my hand. You can't even see my hand. See my hand running from it. It's crazy out here. It's rough out here, man. So I just don't. Yeah, no. I think I got Cleveland. I got Cleveland in a sweep, man. I really do. I mean, Boston can beat anybody when they're knocking down shots because they depend so much on the three. They defend well, and when they're knocking down threes, they're really tough. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Cleveland defends Isaiah Thomas. People talking about just put LeBron on. I don't know. I don't want that. No, that's not. The Cleveland should not have to put LeBron on Isaiah. And honestly, at this point in LeBron's career, I don't think he's the lockdown guy that he could be. He used to be. LeBron can't chase that little guy all around. You know how fast and quick Isaiah. Yes, LeBron has the length advantage and all of that, but Isaiah Thomas is lightning fast. He has an excellent handle, and he can shoot the ball. Now people are talking about back in 2010, I remember they put him on Rose. Well, LeBron was 7 years younger than he is now, and Rose never had a dependable long range jump shot. And when you're longer and a guy can shoot, right, that means you have to be up on him, and because you got to be able to close out that space. But if he, so at that point, then the quickness advantage, he can run, he can get by you. Well, LeBron never had to get that close to Rose when he guarded him down the stretches in those playoff games, and he was able to give him that long range jump shot, and Rose would just run into his length. Well, he can't give Isaiah Thomas the jump shot because he'll knock it down. So I don't think that's the right matchup. I think J.R. Smith is the right matchup for Isaiah Thomas. I mean, obviously, I'm going to put Kyrie on him early, and we're going to see what happens, and then we're going to team defend. We're going to cut him off. We're going to force him baseline when we can, that sort of thing. And, and I don't know what their strategy is going to be on whether or not they're going to switch or they're going to, go over or under the school. I know they can't, only have one choice in regards to that. But that curl play that the Boston Celtics like to run up top, and when Isaiah Thomas just catches the bar immediately off of the pick and pulls up for the jump shot, he also draws a lot of 4-point plays that way. How is Cleveland going to defend that? Are they going to try to defend it with length or speed? We got to wait to see how that's going to work out tonight. But I don't anticipate them having to put LeBron on there, him, and even if they did, I don't know how well that works. So, but to answer your question, Boston could win, but I don't think they will tonight. And they won't win. They absolutely won't win the series, but they could win tonight, but I don't think they will. All right, our last question comes from Barack Lesnar, and he says, will Madden 18 come out for Xbox Scorpio? I don't know. We haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know. It would be cool if it did. You know what? I'm thinking it probably. What I think it's probably going to be is it's not coming out for Scorpio. What I think it is that it's going to have some sort of upscale ability. The Madden 18 that comes out is going to have some sort of upscale ability where on Scorpio it plays. Just like with PS4 Pro. PS4 Pro, all of your PS4 games play on the PS4 Pro. But as they have UHD and the 4K ability, then you'll see some sort of enhancement or pop on the screen if it has that capability. And so I'm thinking that's what you're going to see with Madden 18. All right, so let's take a look. A lot of you guys don't even probably know that I write for Mike.com. It's a relatively new contract that I picked up. I'm thankful for that. But let's take a look at some of the stuff that I've written for them recently. I wrote something about the 5 ways to make the NBA 2K E-League great. And I'm not sure that I shared this or didn't write this, obviously, with Forbes. So basically, I'm talking about presentation here, right? What do they need to do? What does 2K need to do to make the E-League pop, really, right? Because yes, the action is going to be going on the monitors or screens or what have you, and people are going to be talking. But 2K needs, and whoever handles the broadcasting needs to have a certain level of presentation that makes this look dope. And I think that one of the things is you need in-depth player profiles. So we need to go inside of the worlds, the minds, the lives of these guys who are chosen to play in this inaugural season. And we need to learn about these guys. We need to know them. I talk about the top stars in games like Dota and StarCraft 2. The people who follow or are in that community, they know those guys. And those guys are like, stars. So 2K and in the NBA needs to make stars out of these guys. Now, we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but there's a skills combine that's going to be coming up for the NBA 2K E-League. I think that before that happens, not only does 2K need to tell us, okay, what's going to be involved with this combine? How is it going to work? What are you measuring? What are they looking at from a skill standpoint? Not only do they need to do that, I think that they need to simulate the combine in a pre-release app, something like the Prelude, before 2K18 comes out. So have 2K18 set for its release date, September 16th or 15th, whatever it is. But 2 weeks or so before that, have the combine, right? And have it as a downloadable application, a free thing that you have And so it'll kind of get people understanding, all right, so they're doing their best. They're testing their skills on this pre-release Combine app. And so they're understanding, okay, so this is what the people who play in 2K E-League are going to have to show or going to have to go through when they're chosen to be in the draft pool. I think that would be something that would really engage the audience in 2K E-League on a whole. So I hope that happens. I'm literally just pulling these ideas out of my own head. Most of these I haven't been talked to at all about anything. So this is purely coming from my own thoughts. They need to get real NBA players involved for sure. So they need to have promotional events where 5 guys who play NBA 2K for the Boston Celtics are playing against the 5 guys that are chosen for the NBA 2K E-League. Now, obviously, the 5 2K E-Leaguers are going to probably murder the real Boston Celtics, but tell me you wouldn't watch that or wouldn't be somewhat interested in that. I mean, it's going to be cool. It's going to help introduce the whole 2K E-League to some people who may just be basketball fans and not fans of the game itself. So I think that's a good idea. We need an official website for full stat tracking. So just like I can go to NBA.com or just like I can go to Basketball Reference and I can look up all the statistics for real NBA basketball players, I want to be able to look up the statistics for who is leading the 2K E-League in scoring, who's leading in rebounding, who's leading in assists. I want to see the standings. I want to be able to see all of that stuff with player profile screens, the whole 9. Let's make it legitimate. Let's make it look good. And then last but not least, I love to see signature sneakers in the game. So obviously you can do create a shoe in 2K. I believe that the 2K E-Leaguers need to be able to have their own signature shoes. And it would be so awesome if they could have those signature shoes created in the game and then have them recreated in real life. I mean, we already have it with like Nike ID. And, you know, I think Converse has it on their site where you can build your own Converse and then they'll ship the actual shoe to you. Nike ID has the same thing. Man, how awesome would that be for if that was in NBA 2K? I think that would be amazing. I don't know what you guys think. I think that would be pretty cool. So yeah, that's just one of those things that I'm kind of tossing back and forth there. I'm gonna pull this up real quick and see where we are here on the chat side. What's going on? I usually don't take a look into the chat until after I'm done, which is kind of crazy, right? Ty Bud, what's going on? Hope you're still in here. Big Chismo, Index, what's happening? Chewy Jam. Let's see. We got Joe Pro, what's good? Ty Bud don't like my Butler trade. What's going on, Grandy man? Let's see, Bam Proctor, what's going on, man? I appreciate you. KJ Johnson, Steve Ed. Let's see, all of those guys. I appreciate everybody who is coming through here. Let's see, let's take a look at something else here on that Mike.com side. Let's see, did I do anything else interesting? NBA Playgrounds online on Nintendo Switch still is not working, which is crazy. We got the release calendar for all the sports video games. I have to update this because Pro Evolution Soccer's release date came out today, as did I got something on F1 2017. So Pro Evolution Soccer is going to be September the 12th. So it's going to be the same day as NASCAR Heat 2. Of course, NBA 2K18 is September 15th. Super Mega Baseball 2 is something that I am looking forward to. This game, man, I know it's all cartoonish, and it must just be me getting old, me getting a tolerance for this cartoonish type of stuff, because you know, the weird thing about it, I didn't even used to like NBA Jam. When NBA Jam first came out, I didn't like it at all. I was like, dude, this is so lame. This is like not real basketball at all. I'm like, I'm not into this. But now, all of a sudden, I got this tolerance for NBA Playgrounds, and not only do I have a tolerance, I like it. So it's so crazy how that happens. Like, I'm gotten older, and now I like stuff that I used to would have been like, no, bro, this ain't gonna get it for Brian. But yeah, but Super Mega Baseball 2, you know, for the style that they're going for artistically, the graphics are awesome. The gameplay for the last one was really tight. I'm like, man, you know, I'm very interested in it. And you know, the ratings for last year's game was crazy good. But we don't know the release date yet for WWE 2K18, nor do we know one for NBA Live 18, NHL 18, or FIFA 18. Gravel, Project Cars 2, Gran Turismo Sport, or Road Rage. All of those are still out there. But you know one thing, just take a look at this right here, right? Look at July. July sports video game releases. The only one is MotoGP 17. Now that looks great, right? I've never been into this series really at all. I can look at it and visually and say, wow, it looks good, but I've never been into it. But do you remember back when NCAA football used to come out in July? Just looking at that just makes me want to cry. I just want to cry. It's crazy. I did this on Forbes today. Franchise mode guide, 5 tips to help you get the most from your experience. I think this is pretty interesting or pretty cool, or could be useful to somebody. You got to ask yourself, what are you looking for, man? Are you looking to build a team from the ground up? You want to take like one of the worst teams and build them? Are you wanting to do a fantasy draft? Do you want to use legends? You got to know what you want to do before you pick your team. Other one is let's play 2. Like, you might not be able to get the full franchise mode experience that you want to get in just one franchise mode. So you might have to start a second one. You know, if you want to do a fantasy draft on one, but you then still do want to play with the real teams, that's why you might have to do more than one. Also, you got to use your tools, quick counts, critical situations, the manager mode. All of that helps you play a lot, will help you get through a full season, because that's obviously always an issue. Also, you don't forget about your farm system. You got to manage the farm system. Some people just bypass that whole joint. You got to do that, because you're not going to be able to trade or sign free agents all the time. It's just not going to happen. Lastly is don't forget about the carryover saves. A lot of times you might feel like, man, I got to hurry up and get through this season, because if I don't, then the next one's going to come out. MLB The Show is their best feature to me. The gameplay is up there too, but that carryover saves is something I want everybody to emulate. All of the video game companies, I want them to emulate it, because it just makes so much sense. Makes so much sense. It just keeps you vested, keeps you just totally plugged in to that particular franchise, man. If 2K had that or Madden had that, oh my God, you could shut it down. I mean, live might as well not even show up no more, man, because if I can keep taking my career player, with accumulative stats from version to version like that, man, people would be all over that. Now, obviously, yes, I can start a new one if I want, but that would be amazing. And with Madden, get out of here, man. It'd be awesome. But that's all I got for you guys today. I do appreciate, as always, anybody and everybody that tuned in. I also love the amount of viewers we got. We were steady right up, in a pretty good range for the entire show. So I must have not been that boring today. That's a good thing. So I do appreciate you guys watching. As always, God bless. Peace.